Her Uber canceled.
Her mother was dying. And the stranger she jumped into the car with wasn't her driver. He was something far more unexpected. What started as panic on a quiet morning turned into a story neither of them saw coming. And sometimes the wrong car takes you exactly where you're meant to be. Emma had always believed life followed a plan. You work hard. You show up for family. And when things go wrong, you fix them. But that morning, she couldn't fix anything. Her mother was on life support. Her car was in the shop. And time was slipping away. In desperation, she made a split-second decision, one that could have gone terribly wrong. Instead, it led her to a man whose quiet kindness would carry her through the hardest days of her life. This isn't just a love story. It's a story about grief, second chances, and how sometimes the universe places the right person in your path when you need them most. Emma stood outside her house, waiting for an Uber driver that was never coming. She had just received a call from her sister that morning. Their mother had suffered a stroke and was on life support. Just then, a sleek black convertible pulled up with a well-dressed man behind the wheel. She didn't hesitate. She jumped in, assuming he was her ride. He wasn't, but he said yes anyway. And that single act of kindness became the beginning of a love she never expected. The call had come at 6:47 a.m. Rachel's voice was shaking. "Mom's in the hospital. It's bad. You need to come now." Emma's heart dropped. Only 62. Healthy. Active. This didn't make sense. She rushed out of bed, throwing on the blue cocktail dress from the charity gala the night before. Her car was still in the repair shop. Uber was her only option. A driver accepted, 2 minutes away. She ran outside. 2 minutes turned into 5. Then the message appeared. "Your driver has canceled." Panic surged through her chest. And that's when she saw the black convertible pulling down the street. Without thinking, she ran toward it, yanked open the door, and climbed in. "Please tell me you're my Uber. I need Memorial Hospital. My mom had a stroke." The man blinked, surprised. Calm, composed. "I'm not your driver," he said gently, "but I'm heading to Memorial. Get in." He didn't ask questions, didn't hesitate. He just drove. The ride felt endless. Emma barely noticed the man beside her. All she saw was the hospital entrance drawing closer. When they arrived, she fumbled for her phone. "How much do I owe you?" "Nothing," he replied. "Go to your mother." She rushed inside without even asking his name. Hours later, after fear and waiting blurred together, a neurologist stepped through the ICU doors. Emma looked up, and her breath caught. It was him. "Good morning. I'm Dr. James Mitchell, head of neurology." Heat rushed to her face. He wasn't an Uber driver. He was her mother's doctor. Shame settled heavy in her chest. She had assumed, judged, rushed. But James showed no trace of offense, only professionalism and quiet compassion. "Your mother's stroke was severe," he explained calmly. "The next 48 hours are critical." Those 2 days felt like a lifetime. Emma barely left the hospital. James checked on her mother constantly, updating the family with patience and clarity. Late one night, he found Emma alone in the waiting room, staring at the floor. He handed her a cup of coffee. "Decaf," he said softly. You need rest." That was when she finally apologized. "I assumed you were my driver. I didn't even really see you." James gave a small, understanding smile. "You were scared. You needed help, that's all." "Why did you help me?" she whispered. He hesitated. "My father died suddenly when I was in medical school. My mother didn't reach the hospital in time. I saw your face that morning. I knew what you were feeling. If I could get you there faster, I was going to." Something shifted between them in that moment. Not romance. Not yet. Understanding. The alarms rang in the ICU the next night. Emma watched through glass as James and his team fought to stabilize her mother. They managed to hold things together for a while. But on the third evening, James walked into the waiting room and sat beside her. He didn't need to say it. She saw it in his eyes. "I'm so sorry," he said quietly. Her mother passed peacefully. The funeral was simple. The house afterward felt unbearably quiet. Days passed in a blur of grief. Then one evening the doorbell rang. James stood on her porch, no white coat this time, just jeans and a sweater. "I wanted to check on you," he said, "as your neighbor." She hadn't realized how much she needed to see him until that moment. They went for a drive. No destination, just quiet roads and an orange sunset stretching across the sky. This time she didn't rush into his car in panic. She sat calmly beside him. She told him about her mother, the burnt cookies, the library volunteering, the terrible singing voice. James listened. Really listened. When they parked outside her house, neither of them moved to leave. "That morning," Emma said softly, "I saw what I expected to see, not who you really were." "And now?" he asked. "Now I see someone extraordinary." He reached for her hand. "I'm glad you got in my car," he said. She smiled for the first time in weeks. "Best wrong assumption I ever made." The next morning, he brought coffee. They sat on her porch watching the world wake up. The grief was still there. It would be for a long time. But beside her sat something new. Something steady. Something kind. Love doesn't always arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it begins with a canceled ride, a stranger who says yes, and a moment of kindness that changes everything. And for the first time since that terrible morning, Emma felt something she hadn't felt in weeks. Hope. We don't always recognize the moments that change our lives. Sometimes they look like mistakes, like canceled plans, like getting into the wrong car. But maybe those moments aren't accidents at all. Maybe they're redirections. Emma thought she was losing everything that morning. But in the middle of heartbreak, she found compassion, strength, and a love built not on perfection, but on presence. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Because sometimes the smallest act of kindness creates the biggest turning point. And you never know, your wrong turn might be leading you somewhere beautiful.